Yes. So did you like it? This past the night, that's what the album is called, and here he is, Graham Nash. Please welcome on stage. Welcome. What an honor to have you here.
Thank you very much.
So, listening, because you were backstage and you heard these little snippets of the album, what feeling did you get?
Sounds very good to me.
So you're satisfied with it?
I'm very satisfied. I'm very proud of this record. I think that it's music that can help people.
Okay.
Can heal people. There's a lot of people going through the same changes as me in my personal life. Mm-hmm. And this album can help, as a lot of music can help. You know, when you see somebody going through something and dealing with it, mm-hmm. you can say, oh, I see, that's how he dealt with it. Well, that will help me too.
So did it help you as well?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
I must have saved myself millions of dollars in psychiatry bills because I talked to myself.
So why is the album called This Past Tonight?
Because because I'm on a path, mm-hmm. a very different path than the rest of my life. I'm now 74 years old, and I'm on a new path, but my heart tells me this is correct for me.
So when did this new path started? Is there a starting point?
Yes, there is.
Okay, and where was it?
The starting point is love.
Okay.
I fell in love with a beautiful actress from New York City, mm-hmm. who's an artist, who actually took all the images that you saw. Mm-hmm. And I'm on fire.
So, yes, you can applaud. It's interesting, that's why I probably asked it, because it's somehow a typical record for you, because you have this remarkable voice, but there's also something else in there, and probably it's the fire which
yes.
was added to it.
Absolutely. I need to be on fire. It's one of the reasons why I love Berlin. I love museums. I love art galleries. I love good conversation. I love movies. I love culture. I lived for 40 years mm-hmm. in a jungle in Hawaii. Now I live in New York City. It's a different kind of jungle.
But it is a jungle.
But it is a jungle, yes.
So it's your first record since 14 years, which is an enormously long time.
Yes.
What have you been done in between? You toured, okay, you were working, but did you write songs?
Nah, not much. No, I wrote a lot of songs. I produced with my friend Joel Bernstein mm-hmm. 16 CDs.
Okay.
I did Crosby's box set of 3, Stevens' box set of 4, my box set of 3, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young in our 1974 stadium tour. That was 4 CDs. Greatest hits of CSN, a demo record of CSN. I've been a very busy boy, and I've totally been immersed in the music of me and David and Stephen and Neil. Mm-hmm. I need a break.
So, do you remember the moment when you decided, okay, I'm on fire, of course, but also I will make this record? And how did it come? Was it just waking up in the morning saying, I'm making a record by my own, I'm on fire?
No, not quite.
So how was it?
At the time I fell in love, I was on tour. And when we're on tour, we travel by bus. Very special buses, you know, internet at 80 miles an hour, 20,000 television shows, staterooms, kitchens, showers. Our buses are incredible. Shane Fontaine, brilliant musician, and he shares my bus with me. Mm-hmm. And in October of 2014, we wrote 20 songs in a month.
Wow, you were inspired.
We took off Christmas, mm-hmm. and in January of 2015, went into the studio at the Village in Los Angeles and recorded those 20 songs in 8 days.
Wow. Fire again.
Very fast, much fire.
So you mentioned Shane, who is here as well tonight. Give him an applause, please. So you said you started because you were on a bus together.
Yes.
So how was it working together? Because it's when you write songs together, it could be easier doing it together, but it also could be difficult.
Absolutely.
So how was it here?
Usually, I'm very uncomfortable writing with anybody because if I have a pretty melody and I say, what would you do with this melody? And it comes back with words about snakes and pigs. Nah. Writing with Shane Fontaine was like writing with myself.
Oh.
First of all, he's English. Secondly, he told me that he saw the Hollies in 1964 when he was 12. He's a good man.
He definitely is. So you wrote 20 songs and then decided not to bring all the 20 songs on the record?
Yes.
So was that a difficult process?
Yes, very much so. Because since Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and Pet Sounds, albums changed completely. It used to be a bunch of singles and a bunch of A-sides and some B-sides just to make money for the record company and for the band. But when Sgt. Pepper and Pet Sounds came, it was possible to treat an album as a journey all the way through. And that's what this album is. It's my emotional journey, and I hope to be able to touch your heart with it.
Let's talk a bit more about the songs on the album, not specific songs on the album, but as you just said, listening to the whole album is sort of like a journey. One can follow while listening to it, but it's sort of like, it really has like a dramaturgy in a way, because
Indeed.
There's a beginning and there is an ending. Encore is the last song,
yes.
Which is, it has to be this song at the very end, isn't it?
It could only be Encore, yes.
Did you know it while writing?
Yes.
Okay.
Shane and I designed the record to be a vinyl record. I don't think that people have the attention span to listen to 20 songs in a row. I know I don't. Do you? Yes. Oh.
Okay, so you're different.
Well.
Never underestimate the audience.
Never. If you buy the deluxe version from iTunes or from Amazon, you can get 3 bonus tracks. And 2 of them are, for want of a better word, political songs. When Shane and I heard one morning that Michael Brown, a black teenager, had been killed by the police in Ferguson in Missouri, we wrote Watch Out for the Wind that morning. And we played it live on stage that night. And David and Stephen had never heard the song.
Okay.
Another song on there is called Mississippi Burning, about the 3 students that were murdered in Mississippi in the mid-60s because they were trying to help black people vote. But they didn't, I tried to fit them into the album, but they didn't fit emotionally for me. So that's why they're bonus tracks.
Okay, that's a good explanation for that. So, because you said you were sort of like on fire and you wanted to do an emotional album. Music-wise, it's listening to it. It's a bit difficult because you haven't heard it. So, but it's very open.
Yes.
It seems that someone had opened up the windows musically.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. So how long was the process together with Shane to decide the songs you've written, how to bring them onto the record?
One journey?
Onto one journey, yeah.
Yes, it was a difficult process because we had 20 songs to choose from. We think that we chose the best songs that together present the journey of what's happening to me in my life today.
It's also very probably optimistic is not the real word for it, but it's not. It's not
the real word.
Okay, you said it.
I'm a very positive person.
It's nothing but it's not depressing at all. It's always like, okay, you're going to changes. You're on a path. You have to follow your way. So that is sort of like the top of it, isn't it?
I'm very proud of this record. I think it's some of the best work I've ever done. And I've done a lot of work.
Yes, you have. One can count on that. So, but going back to the musical side, as I said, it's somehow it's a typical record. One can easily recognize your remarkable voice, but it's and I was thinking while listening to it, the funny thing is listening to all the work you've done. There's still some British kind of music in there, of course, because you are British. And it has these typical Hollies, Beatle-esque harmonies in there, and they're still there. It's quite interesting. Did you never ever had the idea to do something not different, but or is it just, does it come out of you any minute?
It totally came out.
Okay.
And the sound of the record is more intimate. Mm-hmm. It's more personal. It's closer. We were 6 musicians all in the same room, all at the same time. I knew that these sessions were going to be brilliant. There's a second track on the record called Myself at Last. It was the first attempt at the first song we ever tried. That became the master. And I knew from that moment this was going to be good.
Okay, so no long days in the studio, just sort of not one by one, but
yeah,
okay.
20 songs in a row.
Yeah, it's cool because it gives it's a very electrifying moment in there, which is sort of like, which you probably don't have if you sort of like overdub all the time and spend like months in the studio and try to make it more perfect.
I've done that many times.
Yeah, I know.
But not this time. This was everybody playing in the same room, including me singing.
Okay, that's quite amazing because how it sounds.
And you know the song Back Home that Shane and I wrote for Lee Von Helm? Mm-hmm. That's my demo from the bus.
It's the demo from the bus? Okay. Yeah, but you mentioned the great bus already.
Yeah, it's a great bus, yeah.
So, but there's no recording studio in the bus?
No.
Okay. So
just a little computer, 2-track thing, you know. Yeah. But it's my demo from the bus. All I had to do was overdub the drums and my lead voice. And that was it.
Do you think that, because you've been doing music for such a long time, does it become easier nowadays because of all this technical, just on a computer, you don't have to go to a studio and book it for 3 months? Does it help? Physically,
it's easier because I have a program in my laptop, an Apple, of course. No, seriously, I love Apple. But it's called Sound Studio, and I can be recording in 15 seconds. Open up the app, press go.
And you do that? You use it?
I do, a lot, so I don't forget.
Okay.
Right? And I love technology. I've had a digital camera for 30 years.
Yeah, I didn't know that. You invented a digital printing technique.
I did.
For photographs, which
Indeed.
I didn't know. Wow, I was again impressed.
It's called Nash Editions.
Yeah.
And the very first printer that we ever used is now in the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. That's a great honor.
You're very multi-talented. You're a very good photographer. You're a musician, of course, and you invented.
And I'm a painter.
And you're a painter. And you wrote your memoirs.
I did. Yes, I did. I like to create every day. If I don't create every day, I find it very difficult to sleep. I don't know if you're the same as me, but I don't sleep very well. You know, when everybody else has gone to bed and their brains are settling down, that's when mine wakes up, because there's space and room.
So you're more the night working guy, not the daytime working guy?
No, anytime, don't care.
Okay. So, but after writing songs for such a long time, is it still that some songs occur very easily and others are really hard work?
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. I took my girlfriend Joni Mitchell to breakfast at a delicatessen in Los Angeles. Yeah. And when we had finished breakfast, we were walking back to her car, and we passed an antique store. And in the window, she saw a beautiful vase that she wanted to buy, with, you know, very beautiful, 9 inches, clear crystal, but with beautiful flowers painted around it. She bought it. It was a very gray Los Angeles morning, very cold, very chilly. When we got to her house, I said, hey, why don't I light a fire and you put some flowers in that vase that you bought today? Our house, hour and a half. Cathedral,
Okay.
4 years. Because when you're talking about people's religion and people's God, you have to be very, very sure that every word is correct.
You can.
Thank you.
Yes. So before we start the Q&A, it's probably a tricky question, but the album is finished now for you. It's not out yet. But is it easy for you to let loose at a certain point? Or
You have to.
Yeah, okay.
There's a certain point when you have to let go. Mm-hmm. You have to trust the universe. And that's what I've done all my life. I don't plan my life. Mm-hmm. My life happens to me. And I'm very grateful. The universe loves me, and I love the universe.
Maybe that's another thing we can hear on the album. That's why I said it's sort of like opened up the window, and whatever comes in, comes in.
That's right.
So it's up to you now. We have microphones, and you just have to wait for the microphone.
Hi. I'm a bit emotional, I have to say, but anyway. My question is, you said this is a record that is completely different from anything you've probably written in the way you approached it and the way you felt it, but if there has to be a record from your past, a solo record of yours, that you can compare the feelings to the feelings that from when you were recording that record, which record would it be?
Probably Songs for Beginners.
Okay, great. I thought about that one and I thought, are you listening to the advice that you gave yourself back then? Because you're...
What was the question?
Are you listening now to the advice that your 32 years old Graham Nash was given to you? Because
yes, I am.
You're being yourself and you're still wearing the... I don't know, are you wearing the coat of questions or the answer hat?
Very good question. My mother and my father always taught me a very important lesson, that I should follow my heart, that I know the difference between good and evil, and you have a choice. Which one are you going to choose? I always choose what makes me smile and feel good. All my life I have followed my heart. That's all I can do.
Yeah, you can do that. You're allowed to. So maybe there.
Hi, Graham. I'm actually emotionally with all of you for over 40 years now. So I call you Graham because you're very close to mine. I hear you talking, you're not talking straight from the heart. You're talking about what I think, what I realize in life and everything. But I have only one question. How is Stephen doing? We heard some bad things about him, about his health. And
when I was making This Path Tonight, Stephen was in the other studio completing the record he'd made with Kenny Wayne Shepherd called The Rides. And Stephen has a really fine song on that record called Virtual World, right? Which is basically about technology taking over from people. You know, Stephen says it, he says, you know, why is that lady there texting her friend who's sitting there? Why don't you go and talk to them instead of text?
Hi, Graham. What a great honor. Thank you for coming here tonight. There's so much being written about you and you guys, and in your songs and in your memoirs. Tell us something, tell us a story that we haven't yet heard.
That's a tricky one. Oh my God.
Wow, that you haven't heard? I don't know. You know, being in front of Queen Elizabeth when she honored me with the OBE, and I'm looking at the Queen, and she said, "And how are the hollies?"
Did she really say that? Did she really?
I was talking with the Queen of England and she's asking me how the hollies are. I said, "Well, Your Majesty, I'm sure they're doing fine." I said, but I've been gone from England for 45 years and I didn't know anyone was watching. And she said to me, "And now you know."
So you haven't heard that before. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So more questions.
Yes, first of all, thank you for all the music. I'm a really big fan of yours, but obviously even before I was even born, you had been making music for decades. And I was wondering, when you write songs, or even when you wrote your book, do you have a listener or a reader in mind? And is that person someone who's been following your music for, I don't know, 30, 40 years, or even people from my generation? Because I know you have a lot of fans around my age as well.
When I looked at the very first manuscript of what I'd written, a big pile of individual papers, you turn them over, la la la. When I got to the end, I looked down at the page and said, "Oh my God, I wish I was him." Because my life looked insane. I don't look backwards often. I'm much more interested in what we're doing now and the song I'm writing while I'm talking to you and the show I'm going to do tomorrow in Italy. I like to look forward. There's not really a lot you can do about the past. Maybe apologize, but there's not much you can do about it. So I've always looked forward in my life. And I'm now 74 years old, and I seem to be on the right path. My heart is telling me that I'm doing the right thing. Because if my heart didn't tell me that, I wouldn't be doing it. But this whole record, all the songs started from love. From my love of my girlfriend Amy Grantham, who is actually the photographer that took all these images. It all comes from love.
That almost sounds like an ending, but we still have questions.
Hi, Graham. I wanted to ask you, when you write a song, you've written some new songs. First of all, are you more interested in the lyrics first, writing an idea, maybe a catchy phrase, or is it more like a riff or a sound that inspires the
I've
words?
written songs any way that you could possibly think of. With this particular record, because emotionally I was full of words, I would type them into my computer, into my laptop, or into my, write in my journal and stuff. And then I would pass the lyrics to Shane Fontaine. And Shane Fontaine would come back the next day with a brand new song. So these lyrics are probably 95% of mine, and the music is 95% of Shane Fontaine. It's almost like I'm writing with myself, because he has a great understanding of what I learned in the Hollies, which was to be able to write a song and a melody that you can't forget if you've heard it twice. But the words weren't great. Riding along on a carrot. Yeah, good records. I'm not putting them down. But the lyrics, when I joined David and Stephen and Neil and Joni in Los Angeles, my writing changed because I learned to put interesting words to the melodies that I could write.
So with Crosby, Stills and Nash, as compared to the Hollies, then it was more like there was a message in the music as opposed to the Hollies being
Yes, I think so.
more a deeper message.
Yeah, I think so. I began to write more interesting lyrics when I joined David and Stephen, yes.
I have one more.
At first wanted to say thank you for all the great music over all these years. And can you imagine, you're a fan from East Berlin, the wall comes down, and within a week you see CSN performing in front of the Brandenburg Gate? That's my question.
It was an amazing experience. Here's what happened. We were doing a show at the United Nations in the General Assembly building. Very important show. Stephen comes to me and he goes, "Hey, they think the wall is coming down soon. Here's my American Express. Let's go." So we came to Berlin, and we were being interviewed on the radio. And because there were only microphones on the stage there at the Brandenburg Gate, we couldn't play. We had no instruments. So I had the idea that if the radio station played a certain song, and it was Chipping Away, a CSN James Taylor record about chipping walls down, how appropriate, that if they played that at, say, 4 o'clock, and we invited everybody to bring their little transistor radios, and the radio station played the song, we sang to those radios. I can still see hundreds and hundreds of kids with their radio up, playing our song, singing that song, Chipping Away, about the wall at the Brandenburg Gate. Fantastic.
Whoa, goosebumps. Whoa. Wow. What a story. So one last
what
question.
are they in German? Goosebumps.
Gänsehaut.
Okay, good.
It's quite close. So one last question. Okay, here in the front. Oh, da hinten zuerst? Okay, make it short. 2 short questions.
After 50 years of making music, what's the same and what's the different?
What?
What's the same and what's the difference after 50
There
years?
is no difference. There's no difference. It's just music. You know, when people say it's hip-hop, or it's country, or it's rock, or it's folk, bullshit. It's all music. I don't care where it comes from. I only care where it's going. And I'm on the right path for Graham Nash right now.
Okay, so one last question in the front row.
First, I have to say that I come from the Danish border, nearly 5 hours with the car today. And so when we came from this town, Flensburg, you can only see Christopher Colony Fisher. You cannot see guys like you. Yesterday, I bought the ticket for Paul McCartney in Berlin. I have to drive. It cost 240 euro. No, so Neil Young in July, nearly 100. You in Frankfurt, nearly 100 euro. And yesterday, after I bought this ticket, I looked in my music room where the tickets of all the decades are, and then I saw your ticket. I have it here from 1976, Circus Krone, Crosby Nash. Do you know what it costs? 18 Deutschmark. 18.
Is that a lot of money?
No, it's 9 euros.
Oh,
18
9 euros.
Deutschmark.
Fantastic. I remember that show. I do. Let me tell you this story.
I know that you remember. 10 years ago, I took the photos on the stage in Hamburg.
Oh, really?
And you signed it with
Oh,
David.
fantastic.
It was very fine. It was a fine concert. Thank you.
So at the Circus Krone in Munich, me and Crosby were playing. And we had a road manager with us who spoke fluent German. His father was in the military. And I said to him, tell me something simple I can say to the people in German. So he said, okay, setz, auf, meine Gesicht. So I went out to the audience and I said, hey, setz auf meine Gesicht. And he's going, no!
Again, that's a perfect ending. Thank
Fantastic.
you very much for sharing this.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
So,
everybody.
The album, I have to admit, at this.
Dankeschön.
The album comes out. The album comes out on the 14th of April, so look forward to it. Thank you very much, Graham Nash.
You're very welcome, Melanie. Thank you.